The engineer is complicated. He's probably the most complex class in the game. Doing well as engineer demands your full attention at all times. Sure, it's easy enough to set up a level 3 sentry in a corner somewhere and hope 2 or 3 people waltz into it and die, but that isn't really what engineer is about. Engineer, fundamentally, is about controlling the flow of battle. With the teleporter and dispenser, you can direct where your entire team goes by giving them transportation and supplies, and the sentry gun likewise directs where the enemy goes since a well-positioned sentry gun is such a formidable obstacle. You can't just run at it. That's what the engineer wants. One sentry gun in the right spot, surrounded by teammates, can effectively stonewall the enemy's advance if it isn't taken care of. With this in mind, all of Engineer's unlockable weapons go some way towards giving him more options, making sure that Engineer isn't just a sentry bot. Valve wants you to be playing the game, not hoping your sentry will play for you. The Wrangler gives you manual control of the sentry, the Eureka effect allows teleportation to multiple points on the map, the Jag allows you quick as lightning construction, repair and upgrade speed, all of these wonderful options that fundamentally change how the class is played. What is that? The Southern Hospitality is an unlockable wrench for Engineer, so dirt simple that it has not been changed in the 13 years since it was first added. For the downsides, it cannot deal random critical hits, and it increases the fire damage you take by 20%. In exchange, it causes enemies to bleed for 5 seconds on hit. As an additional upside, it is the most punk rock wrench NG has, and is honestly extremely aesthetically pleasing for that reason alone. Combining the melee damage with the bleed over time stacks up to 105 damage per swing, which is not bad at all. Its intended use is obviously to track down cloaked spies, and at this it does pretty well. Despite the fact that spies have a reduced timer on debuffs, so they only bleed for 2.5 seconds instead of the full 5, that's often more than enough time to take them out. If you have a full nest established, pyros aren't a problem, and if a spy does show up, you can have an easier time tracking them down when they mysteriously materialize in front of you. Like, where did this guy come from? I can see why this wrench is not talked about very much. It is the only wrench unlock that is focused purely on damage and not utility. And I don't have to tell you that taking a swing at a guy with a rocket launcher isn't always going to work out in your favor. Using the wrench for combat is almost always a last resort, something you go for in desperation when you've expended your shotgun and pistol ammo and your sentry is down. I mean, it's not like I could just take an entire group off guard and kill a bunch of them with 0 random crits, right? Wait a minute. Wait a minute! Wait a minute! Actually, I think I like this thing. What can I say? The adrenaline rush of just sprinting down a choke point and smacking all and sundry with this spiky club is incomparable. Forget thinking, forget a sentry, just pick up a stick and start bonking things. Have you ever seen a demo man with the skull cutter lose a melee fight? It's wild. What's that? Uncle Dane thinks the Southern Hospitality is boring? Nerd! Making people bleed is always useful in TF2 because it causes panic. They see the red screen effect and hear constant damage sounds and think, I need to get out of this situation right now and find some health, which gives you an advantage in a hectic fight. Not to mention the bleed damage can push some close fights over the edge that you barely would have lost when using other wrenches. And even if you die, the bleed can still finish the job. It is so satisfying to give overconfident pyro mains a taste of their own medicine. But let's talk loadout strategies, because that's what interests me the most. I find I have the most success pairing this wrench with the pistol and the Frontier Justice. The Frontier Justice has reduced ammo, so you pretty frequently need to swap to other weapons to finish enemies off if you don't have a crit loaded. The pistol is great at this, but sometimes you need more, and that's where the wrench comes in. Yes, you can just set up a level 3 in a corner somewhere and you'll be safe and bored. I guess this is my life now, completely safe from all harm. Oh, finally, something happened. I hate turtling so much it makes me feel grateful to get backstabbed. Instead, what I like to do is plop a level 1 sentry in a very random position and play a kind of roaming engineer, circling the map and taking down stragglers, moving my sentry constantly and using revenge crits to blast anyone I run into. I mean, if we're talking about adrenaline, nothing shoots it up higher than trying to quietly redeploy a sentry when surrounded by enemies and hope they won't see you before it's up. And once it is up, the combination of a level 1 plus a guy with a shotgun and bleed-inducing melee is pretty powerful against most everyone. Upgrading sentry guns is overrated, man. The sentry does so much damage and has perfect aim, and is smaller and harder to hit than a huge level 3. Now you might say that this strategy would be more effective with the Jag, and to that I say yes, only if you're relying more on the sentry gun. With good enough deathmatch skills, the sentry is more of an assistant than a necessity, and I enjoy guarding one side of the map while my sentry gun guards the other, essentially creating providing a wide area of control that is hard for enemies to avoid. Sure, I might run out of ammo or miss my shots, but I have a more powerful melee to rely on should that happen. Sure, it's slower than the Jag, but that only matters if you redeploy your sentry right in front of someone. With a bit of planning, you could set it up in anticipation of enemies, leave it alone to get some kills, destroy it and rebuild it somewhere else, and now use your critical shotgun and sentry wingman to shut down anyone who comes even close to you. It's true that pyros kill you near instantly with a flamethrower, but real talk, if a pyro catches you without your sentry nearby or some crits loaded, you're gonna die anyway. I hardly notice a quantifiable difference in how fast pyros kill me, with or without the Southern Hospitality, because if I'm caught off guard, I'm dead almost instantly anyway. The Scorch Shot is much more likely to kill you, but that's just one item that most experienced pyros avoid since it's so underwhelming damage-wise. I love the Jag, obviously, but I think it may have just been dethroned as the de facto offensive wrench in my mind. Battle Engineer is so much more powerful with bleed damage at his side, and honestly, it is nice to be able to remove sappers in 2 hits. Thus far, I've avoided talking about the lack of random crits, because good players don't rely on luck to win fights. It's not an important strat when it comes to strategy. And tossing this wrench out because it can't participate in the TF2 lottery sounds pretty dumb to me. I mean, some of the most powerful weapons in the game can't deal random crits, and nobody brings it up when talking about them. I like this wrench, and if it continues to be as underrated as I've seen, I'll continue to catch people off guard by using it, which is just fine by me. Thanks for watching. Like if you did, subscribe, and get out. Video's over.